Hello everyone. The promise of education, well, that's a promise to a child, not to a particular institution. This is according to the Kansas Chamber CEO, Mike O'Neill, as was cited in an article by Cecilia Lopez Jensen, who is a journalist for the Topeka Capital Journal, back in February of 2014. Today I'm here to talk to you about school choice. School choice is very important. It's important for many reasons. First, the education system is not equal across our nation. Second, our children are unique and they're varied in their learning styles. And third, for the religious sector, it's important that their children be taught creation and abstinence in addition to evolution and birth control. You know, at the end of the day, who's to say that one side is right and another is wrong? The truth is, we don't all fit neatly into one little box with the same values, beliefs, learning styles, and learning abilities. So today we're going to look at some of the common arguments against school choice, and I'm going to present an opposing view, one that will help dispel the misconception or the myth and provide you with a deeper understanding of a school choice program and the benefits of such programs. So let's get started. The first argument we might hear would be, why should I support a tax relief program for parents to send their children to a private school when I can't afford to send my children to a private school? You know what? I don't support welfare for the wealthy. And I'd respond to that by saying that facts show that our public school education system in some areas simply is not good enough for our children. And so many parents, they turn to this private school education because they need an alternate form of education so they can provide their children with a quality education. And so not all children in these private schools are from upper class families, and you'll soon discover that for some it is truly a necessity, and so in addition it is financially burdensome. And here I'm going to use Berkeley Middle School in Moncks Corner, South Carolina as an example. They have a current score of 34 out of 100. And this is according to StartClass.com, who uses the U.S. Department of Education statistics for informational purposes. In this particular school, it is below the acceptable standard for a minimally adequate level of education, which the South Carolina Judicial Department says is guaranteed through the South Carolina State Constitution. So these schools, not just this one in particular, but all schools that have failing ratings, they are failing to provide a quality education to the children. The Department of Education explains that school ratings are acquired from the national standardized testing scores of the students at those particular schools. So they are truly indicative of the quality or lack of quality education that the children in those schools are currently receiving. So now that we've dispelled that misconception that only the wealthy send their children to a private school, let's move on to the next argument. Another argument you might hear would be that the majority of poor and minority people live in rural areas and they don't have access to private or parochial schools, and that they too attend underfunded schools. So basically they're saying, look, I am at a disadvantage because of the school system here and I don't have any options. Well, the fact is, a full school choice program, which I am strongly an advocate for, offers not only private schools and parochial schools, but also homeschooling options and private tuition scholarships for poor and disabled children in the community. So for those people that don't have access to these private and parochial schools, they can benefit from the homeschooling option. And these people that have access to these private and parochial schools but don't have the financial means to put their children in those schools, they could benefit from the private tuition scholarships. And here I'd like to use Kentucky as an example. According to the Kentucky School Choice Organization website, in the 16 years since its foundings, it's awarded more than $6.5 million in scholarships to more than 4,500 students attending more than 60 private and parochial schools in the Louisville community. So now that you've been informed of the much broader reach of a school choice program, let's move on to the next topic. A third argument that you might hear is that school choice is directing the taxpayer money into the private school system rather than focusing on ways to improve the public school system. And here I'd like to refer to the thoughts of an extremely credible source, And Roland Martin, who is a CNN contributor, he reports in March of 2009 that the superintendent of schools in Washington, Michelle Ray, supports school choice. She acknowledges in an article to the New York Times that vouchers are not going to solve all the ills of the public school system, but that parents who are zoned to schools that are failing their children should have options to do better by their children. And it's also important to be careful to avoid believing that if we allow those tax dollars to follow the children to the school of their choice, that we're going to somehow further harm our existing public education system. If all the private school students, the distant learners, and the homeschoolers were to enter into the public school system, that would be more than 9 million students according to the Friedman Foundation for Education Choice based on 2007 statistics. You see, our education system is already failing in many areas, even with that money and without those students. So the tax relief portion of a school choice program is going to help parents help their children. So now that we've discussed that a credible source recognizes school choice is a necessity, I'd like to go ahead and conclude today. And I'll close by saying that we discussed in greater detail some of the most common arguments against a school choice program, and I addressed each of these arguments by providing a strong example or a credible source to dispel that misconception or myth. And while you may not personally see the benefit of a school choice program because you don't need that benefit, if you think about the broader picture and everyone in society, surely you can recognize that there are people that do. And the truth is, in our lifetime, we are all going to subsidize programs, hopefully, from which we do not receive a direct benefit. And when that's the case, you are extremely lucky. Now, school choice is more than about just choosing a school and providing a tax relief benefit for the parents. The truth is, today's children are America's future. And if our public school system is failing our children, then certainly we need to have choices. But we also need to have choices because each child is unique in their learning abilities and their learning styles. And school choice recognizes that. So in a broader sense, school choice, it's about what's best for the child. And we know that an educated child has the potential to become a contributing member of society. So we need to fight to allow our children to receive not only a quality education, but an education that's applicable to their particular needs in an environment that best suits them. And that's why we need to let our government know that we support school choice so that we can help our children by providing them every opportunity that we can for them to be successful in life. Thank you.